Hey guys, welcome back to Enjoying School at Home. I'm Robin and I have 5 kids aged 6 and under. I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, an almost 2-year-old, and a brand new 7-week-old baby. Today I'm really excited to talk about circle time and what it is, how to introduce it to your home, some very simple first steps, who it's for, what's included, and how and when to implement. At the end, I'll also share some resources from some other bloggers and authors that have really helped me get my own circle time started in my own home. Okay, circle time. What is it? So for us, it's really a hodgepodge of school-like activities. It's a time for us to get cozy together and grow spiritually and check off some school tasks on our school day, and especially those things that don't really fit well anywhere else. That maybe only are 5 to 10 minutes if we're just going to touch on a little bit of history or a little bit of memory work or things like that. The great thing about circle time is that you can modify this and customize it for your home as much as you want to. So it is really whatever you want it to be, but I'd love to offer out some suggestions and structures of how to go about it. Circle time is for everyone, from my oldest school age kids to my toddlers and baby. There is really something for everyone there, because that's how I really intend it to be. Now, they don't always stay, my littles don't stay for things like spelling or sight words or read alouds with my older kids all the time, but they do wander in and out, and I'm totally okay with that as long as they are quiet and not a distraction. We do our circle time 2 to 3 times a week. Usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays is what works best in our schedule. And so it's really meant to be something that is not stressful. So please don't add it to your school time and think you have to do it to get it checked off the list. It is meant to be an enjoyable time for you guys as a family or as mom and kiddos to grow together as you pray and sing and study the word, or even have new academic experiences as you learn together through poetry or artwork and music, whatever you've decided to include. Time of day that we do it really just depends on my kiddos and how they're doing. So if we're having a rough start to our day, if I can tell emotional tanks are empty, we might start our day with circle time. So we'll clean up breakfast and we will jump right in to some together time. We'll read books together and things like that. Then we will get to the table work and the math and the hard stuff. On other days, if I can sense a good momentum going when we do our Bible at breakfast, or they're ready to go right after breakfast, if they're motivated, then I will knock out those hard subjects ahead of time and save time for us to relax and just come down together after lunch and do circle time in the afternoon. I do not include every possible subject every time we sit down to do circle time. If I did, it would be way too much for me and way too much for my kiddos. So I read the room, and if they are engaged and enjoying our time together, then I will keep going. And if I notice that they're getting a little spacey or they're zoned out, they're not really focused in, we may cut it back. If I have errands and I really don't, I maybe don't even have a good chunk of time to sit down that day, whatever it may be, I can always cut it down to just prayer and memory work. Some possible things to include if you are looking for some ideas are music, poetry, prayer, scripture, memory work, Bible stories, read alouds where you may read chapter books to them, or read alouds where they're maybe reading intro to reading books to you, such as Bob Boogs or Fun Tales. You could do history study, art appreciation, and spelling and sight words and vocabulary, kind of flashcard work. We throw that in there as well. And then poetry, we've done that. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Sorry if I did. But yes, we've also done poetry, and my kids actually really love to sit and listen to Shel Silverstein, Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, whatever I have on hand. We'll go through some poetry as well. Here's a side note for you guys. Some people will include things like weather, calendar time, learning songs like circles and shapes and numbers during their circle time or morning meeting, but we really do that more during our math. Our math curriculum lumps all those things together in a morning math meeting. So that is not part of my circle time, but you are absolutely welcome to include that in yours. Like I said, totally customizable. So add whatever you would be excited to do with your kids. I use everything that I might need for circle time in one basket. If you have not checked out my How to Organize School Supplies video, go over and check that out, and that'll go through everything that I keep in my circle time basket, as well as my table time basket, and just kind of how I keep all of this situated and put away and am able to easily get it back out. So when we start, I will just get my phone, play music, and they know, and I will give them a heads up, usually with timers or warnings, hey, you have 5 minutes, finish up your task, we're about to go do circle time. And then I'll play the music on my phone, and they know to meet me wherever I am in the house, whether it's the playroom or the living room or the back porch, and we are going to come and do circle time together. Here's our personal circle time schedule. This is what I usually like to go off of. Remember, take it, try it, toss it. If it's not for you, please toss it and don't worry about it. If you find something you like, take it and try it. We do music, a scripture verse or Bible story, depending on how much time we have for the day. We prayer, and then I kind of have a slot of just an open slot for rotating subjects, whatever I might be in the mood for, whatever I think they might be in the mood for. So in that slot, I might do the poetry I mentioned earlier, or maybe we did an activity to supplement our Bible story. I've done nature activities during that time, and I'll kind of move it to the end. Then we'll move into sight words and spelling words. Sight words for my kindergartner, spelling words for my first grader. We do read alouds for each of them, and we take turns going back and forth, and then memory work to tie it up at the end. My school-age kids are expected to be at circle time for its entirety. My little ones, they do come and go. They are there usually through prayer, and then they kind of tend to wander off. When I get to individual tasks at the second half of circle time, say the end, but really the second half, we're taking turns, and I'm just doing one at a time. I may say, you study your sight words, and I'll review your spelling words, or you study your spelling words, and I'll review your sight words. If they're not studying and preparing for what their next turn is, then they can play in the room or read from our book basket, as long as they stay in the room and they don't wander off too far and they're ready for their next turn for our circle time activity. I'm okay with that too. Now, that took a lot of time and training and patience. So this didn't all just unfold smoothly the first time I sat down to do it. It took time for me to get a groove, and it took time for them to get a groove for what my expectations were and are. So please don't hear that and think it should just work out. That's never true when you have a bunch of little kids involved. But just keep trying and have patience and give it time for them to get used to the expectations. Okay, so 3 helpful tips I'd love to leave you with. The first one is to start small. Please don't sit down and think like we're going to spend an hour together and it's going to be this beautiful, lovely time, because you're probably going to lose them in the first 10 minutes, and that's okay too. Start small. Just pick 1, maybe 2 things, like we're going to pray, we're going to open in prayer, and we're going to read this Bible story, or we're going to sing some songs together and then review your spelling words. Just pick 1 or 2 things. If you have itty bitties, if you're just looking at doing this with toddlers, then like I said, still just 1 thing. You might pray together and sing some learning songs, and that might be all of your circle time right now, and that is beautiful and wonderful. So helpful tip number 2, don't try to force it, and that's ongoing. So not only in the beginning, but when I was explaining the introduction of how I do circle time, it's all about reading the room and reading my kids. What's a good time of day for us to do this today? And how much am I going to be able to do with them today? So please don't lose heart and be discouraged. Just remember that helpful tip number 3 is to keep the long-term goal in mind. Grow spiritually and grow their character, and to learn academically along the way. This doesn't happen overnight. Don't be a perfectionist procrastinator, which is someone who says, I'm not going to do it until it's going to be exactly the way I want it to look, because that may never happen. So just start small Don't try to force it, and remember to read the room. And remember, you just want to have those little moments that help lay the building blocks for later to really get you to where you want to go with your children's growth spiritually and character and academically. 2 resources I really want to leave you with are Preschoolers and Peace by Kendra Fletcher, and I will link that in the video notes at the bottom. And then also Pam Barnhill's Your Morning Basket. She has an amazing website and podcast. I'm a huge fan of Pam Barnhill's Your Morning Basket, and that's really where I got a lot of my motivation to start, and just give it a try. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and being patient as it takes me time to post videos with a new baby. I hope you enjoyed, or at least found something you might be able to take away and use for introducing a circle time and your school at home time. And please subscribe. Thanks for watching.